From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Well, happy Sunday to my beautiful TikTok coffee beaners over here. I'm Bullhorn Betty, and we cover true crime, lots of true crime, not just a specific case. However, we are on the Sebastian Rogers case and going through it very intently and not leaving any stone unturned. Good morning, everybody that's coming in. It's nice to see you. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. We have a little more to go over than just Sebastian Rogers this morning because we've been covering cases for several years and some of those cases have new information in. So I wanted to start off with Rex Heuermann. He is the Long Island serial Killer. And this revelation, whenever he was whenever he was accused of this particular one, which I believe her name is Castillo. I can't remember her first name right off the top of my head, but it is in this report. And he just recently has been charged with her unaliving, okay? But here's a kicker. She was found around two other women that had the same type of evidence in the case, and they were all believed to be a serial Killer, right? And his name is John Bitrolf, and he wants to be exonerated right now because she's linked to the other two women. However, she's the only one that's been charged toward Rex. He was charged for the other two. So I wanted to read this to you. A convicted unaliver has released a review of his case after accused Gilgo Beach serial Killer Rex Heuermann was charged with a similar unaliving. According to Newsday, John Bitrolf was convicted in early 1990s for the unaliving of Rita Tangretti and Colleen McNamee, something to that effect. He was also suspected but never charged. Her name was Sandra Castillo. I remember her last name. I couldn't remember her first name. Sandra Castillo. Now Heuermann has been charged with Castillo's death, and Bitrolf's lawyers are pushing for his exoneration. But there's reasons for it, and here's why. All three women, Sandra, Rita, and Colleen, were all unalived within the same time frame. All three women were found in wooded areas. Their legs were spread apart and their hands were above their head. They were each missing one shoe. So Lisa Maricosha from the Legal Aid Society of Suffolk County said Colleen and Sandra both had their shirts pulled up over their faces, and the DA's office also claimed that there were wood chips on all 3 remains. Any logical person would believe one person was responsible for all 3. So now they're pushing for the other 2 cases to have DNA. And listen to this, the DA and Suffolk County law enforcement are saying no. They have denied all these requests. So this man could potentially, now we don't know the stories. It sounds like they went through it. It sounds like the DA's office believe that they have the right guys for the other 2, but still the uneasiness of this and the similarities in all 3 of the cases, they're wanting to dive in a little deeper. So that is what's really super interesting about this. I don't know what's going on. I am a firm believer of justice, and if John Bittroff did not do these crimes, obviously he should have an opportunity to have his day in court, especially with this many similarities. But as many know, that once you are convicted, it's very, very hard. It takes an act of God just about to get you an appeal that's worthy. You know, there are things that happen, you know, when people are wrongly convicted, but it's a heavy, heavy battle that you have to fight in order to undo what was done by the courts. And hopefully, he gets his day, if true. We also know that unalivers capitalize on any opportunity to be set free or cause confusion to have another bite at the apple. We all know that, whether they're true or untrue or what have you. That's the name of the game. So this is super, super interesting. I am monitoring this. I know many of you guys, hey, it's nice to see you all. Thank you for the heart. That's so sweet. We will be monitoring this because this is one of those things that make you scratch your head and think, you know, is it possible? Did somebody get convicted of the wrong crimes? Did somebody get convicted for Rex Heuermann's crimes? We'll keep you guys updated on this as this starts developing. In another event, we've been covering the case of Crystal Rogers. Crystal Rogers is a beautiful, you know, mother that disappeared over the July. Oh, thank you again. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. Bitch with sass. Thank you. That's very kind. And so I'm going to play you guys just a video. It's a video I produced myself, but it's one that we haven't seen in a while. It's one that we have not, give me just a second. Let me make sure I didn't. Sometimes when this thing, somebody tries to come in, it does something with my lips. So I wanted to make sure I fixed that. But this is one where she disappeared on July 4th weekend. She has several kids, but her youngest child was one with her boyfriend, Brooks Houck. Brooks Houck is now behind bars. He was a well-to-do construction guy. He had over $10 million in assets. There's a lot of people that believe that political pressure was applied because they kept trying. They knew he was good for it. This is Crystal Rogers. Not really the best picture, but we're going to watch this video and get you guys more up to date with it, with the case. If I can do that. There we go. Can you guys all see? Let me know. I might have to take... Okay, there. I may have to take my background off.
Crystal Rogers is a mother of 5 beautiful kids that went missing on the July 4th weekend in 2015. Her boyfriend, Brooks Houck, came under heavy scrutiny about her disappearance.
I don't know why it's messing.
2015, but for whatever reason, the case went cold. Well, this particular case just heated up most recently in September with the very first arrest of a gentleman by the name of Joseph Lawson. This is an employee of Brooks Houck. Brooks Houck was later arrested.
I don't like this. Hold on, let me take this background off. There we go.
And the case kind of died out. There was some major shocks in the case when the state prosecutor, Brooks Houck's bail hearing, tells the judge that his brother, Nick, might have been the one that shot Crystal's father, Tommy Ballard. If you're unfamiliar with this case, Crystal is a beautiful young lady that disappeared in 2015, and her father went out looking for her and searching and was probably finding evidence about what happened to his daughter. Well, during a hunting, what many thought was a hunting accident on Tommy Ballard's property, he was shot to death. And apparently during this bail hearing for Brooks Houck, it was alleged that his brother Nick may have killed Crystal's father.
Today in court, prosecutors said they believe they have the gun used to kill Tommy Ballard now, connecting the investigation with the death of his daughter, Crystal Rogers.
Waiting for testing to come back on the firearm we believe was used to murder Tommy Ballard, a firearm that we purchased from Nicholas Houck, who was using a fake name when he sold the rifle.
This case has a lot of twists and turns, and that's not it. In 2013, an officer was ambushed. His name is Jason Ellis. And people are starting to feel that this Jason Ellis is connected to this particular case with Crystal Rogers and Brooks Houck. So now we have 3 people arrested in connection with the death of Crystal Rogers, although her body has not yet been found.
A third person is indicted in connection to the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. Stephen Lawson was just indicted on conspiracy to commit murder. Joseph Lawson was also indicted earlier this year on conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence charges. Then Brooks Houck was indicted on murder. Rogers went missing in 2015, but her body has never been found.
Joseph was first arrested in the case earlier this year.
So we have some updates on this case. Obviously, 3 people have been arrested. It was 2 part-time employees of Crystal Rogers' boyfriend, Brooks Houck. And I'm learning also that there is another person that has not yet been charged that appeared to have been out at a location, at a burn pile, so to speak. And with Joseph Lawson, which was the very first arrest in this case, then followed by Brooke, and then Joseph's father, Stephen Lawson, was the third to be arrested in this case. So lots of stuff going on related to the Crystal Rogers case. It appears that the trial is going to be around February of 2025, so just in a few months. It sounds like all 3 are going to be going to court. They're trying right now to sever their cases from one another, so they have 3 separate trials. They're also requesting a change of venue, and so this might actually be moved out of Nelson County. A high probability of this being moved out of Nelson County to a different county that can handle this, that doesn't have as much exposure. Again, Brooks Houck, worth $10 million, family well known, family has a farm out there. It sounds like a lot of stuff. So I just wanted to give you guys some quick updates, excuse me, on that. And now we're going to get into our topic of conversation, which is Sebastian Rogers. Rogers. Thanks, Kate. God bless you. God bless you. And of course, all the distractions that are being created, we've been seeing in real time for the last 6 months related to this case, and how sad that people have chose to do this on the back of a autistic and medically needy 15-year-old boy that needs to be found and brought home. The nonsense has to stop. I just want to let you know that Yeda, she's the lady that did an interview with me just 2 nights ago on Friday night, and she kind of opened up about her feelings, about her opinions, you know, what she saw, what she felt, and why she feels the way she does. Now, many people don't realize Yeda is right now undergoing cancer treatment and has a lot of ailments. And the attacks on her since the attacks prior to were hard. But she wanted to have her voice heard about the situation because Sebastian Rogers is her family member as well. And she's been trying to move heaven and earth to find any information to bring him home. And because of the interview, people have been attacking her so much that she had to take down her Facebook page. And she is undergoing cancer treatment right now. She has, right now, this has upset her system so much, she's got to go in for infusions tomorrow. And I think people need to understand their behavior has grave consequences on people. And this is one of those such things where their bullying and nonstop harassment of this lady could really jeopardize and has jeopardized her actual health. And I'm going to demand that everybody stop. She has a right to have her opinion. She has a right to be heard. And lastly, this is flipping America. It's not the communist Chinese party, okay? If you don't like her commentary, move on. It's called being an adult, which a lot of people have lost in their hate. We were very gracious to hear what she had to say, whether we agree with it or not. You do not have the right to harass and bully anybody, especially one that's undergoing the serious treatments that she is. So just stop. Just stop. Now, getting on with one of the things that one of the commentaries, we're always going back and looking at what is our audience saying? What are they saying online? What are they emailing me? You know, what are some hot topics that they would like to learn and know about? And so this was on the Find Sebastian, Justice for Sebastian Facebook group. And I thought it was very interesting. And I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it. And it says, so I've been thinking lately, one of KP's interviews, she mentioned that it was really dark the night that Sebastian went missing. Now, in my opinion, if I had been on a 3-hour phone call and studying until I went to bed, I'm not sure I would have noticed how dark it was outside unless I went outside. Any thoughts? And I have to be honest with you, this is a great question. This is a great question. You know, a lot of people remember finally when one of the interviews, she states, oh, by the way, I got in my car and drove around. And then I ran back home. I mean, I drove back home. So we have some, and somebody had had brought that up then because this was after the flashlight video. And we can clearly see a light source moving very quickly back to the home, running back to the home, i.e. why she had to correct, driving, right? That's just an opinion. It's not a fact. I mean, we do have a fact of a light source, moving back to it, but we don't know if that was her or not. We believe it was because obviously only one person woke up in that house that night, and it would make sense that one person would have to go back to the home. So, and there was 2 people in the home, and there was 2 light sources out, but there was an unidentified vehicle. So who were the people or person in that vehicle, and where were their lights, and where were their body movements? And did one of them go into the house, and is that the second light? You know, somebody had sent me a video. I wonder if I still have it. I watched it. I'm not sure if I do or not, and I was meaning to talk about it in other stuff, other drama, you know, BS that means absolutely nothing, keeps coming up, and it kind of drowns out the other stuff that I have previewed or watched. But it was very interesting because it shows how someone may be able to carry someone that is down. Hold on, let me see. I remember it was something with unconscious person. Is it this one?
Okay, this video we're going to demonstrate the finance done from behind. Approach the patient at the back. You change the support cervical spine to avoid injury, and then you go up. Move to the front. Lift the patient up. Squat down. Ensure all the weights in the legs. Your back straight. And then you lift up. Make sure the patient is resting. Okay, anyways, yeah.
So that is how you lift and carry an unconscious person. And this is a technique that is trained and provided training to all of our military personnel. And we have learned that both mom and stepdad have been military trained and were part of active military up until they retired or were discharged from the Navy. So this would have been training that both mom and dad would have had knowledge of and would have been proficient in. And I think that that's important because a child disappeared between February 25th and February 26th at 6 a.m. We don't know what happened, but we have seen 2 flashlights or 2 light sources moving through a common area and to an unidentified car or vehicle. I should say vehicle, because we don't know if it's a car, which I consider an SUV, minivan, and car being a car, and then obviously a truck being a truck. That's kind of how I say it, but it's really a vehicle because minivans and SUVs and cars have different characteristics. Hey, it's nice to see you, Chasen. Good morning, love. So I thought that that's interesting. We need to be researching this a little bit more. Again, this child is somewhere. We have some really salacious statements from the stepfather stating that nobody will ever find him, which is very cryptic, and it almost sends chills up my spine to hear that, especially with somebody that was 3.5 hours away, allegedly, but somehow their timeline or their movements somehow affect this case. That doesn't make sense unless they were involved in this case when they should not have been and when they were supposed to be. Otherwise, their alibi is not a secret. Where they were, what they were doing, were they in their trailer when they had a 3-hour phone call, doesn't make sense to be fighting those details, because if you're 3.5 hours away, then there's no possibility of your whereabouts really mattering if you were where you said you were. And so having this cryptic and skeptical statements of, oh, law enforcement told me not to say anything about timing because of, it might affect this case. How? You're saying you have nothing to do with this case. How would your timeline and your alibi affect this case 1 iota? It doesn't make sense. It seems like he's hiding something because he's hiding something. Just saying. Because again, somebody that's 3.5 hours away wouldn't be deemed, like, think about it. If your cousin in Milwaukee, something happened to your cousin in Milwaukee and officers came knocking at your door and said, where are your whereabouts when you were in Florida, you would be saying, I'm in Florida, this day I did this, and this. And then you might want to say, maybe the news came up and said, I heard your cousin in Milwaukee had a horrific event. And you're like, yes, I can't believe it. Well, what were you doing that day? Well, I was in Florida, and of course I had my stuff to do. I went to church. I came home. We had a big family meal. My daughter left at 6 o'clock at night. In this case, it would be, while I was at the camper, I was helping a neighbor, a fellow camper, having car trouble. So I helped them. Everything was normal. We had a normal day. I didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden I'm getting a call that's saying my stepson's missing. Because somebody that doesn't have anything to hide is not going to be this secretive about their timeline or their whereabouts when their stepson disappeared when they're 3.5 hours away. There's no need. I've never heard people act like this in a missing child's case. I'm sorry, I just haven't. Call me a little crazy, but that just really kind of sticks out like a red flag to me, because if there was if he had absolutely nothing to do with it, how would his alibi or story have any relevance in this missing person child's case 3.5 hours away from his location? It sounds to me like he can't say anything on the record because of the evidence law enforcement may or already has found. That's what it sounds like to me. Now, I could be totally wrong, but that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. I don't know what you guys think about it, but isn't that a little weird? Like, again, How would anybody know what it looked like outside? To be honest with you, you guys hear me all the time in here. I live in Florida. I have a little puppy. Other than taking her out to go potty, but prior to her, you could tell me, it's 50 degrees outside. I wouldn't know because I very rarely go out when I'm working. I work here. I've got 2 computers and 3 cell phones. I mean, I literally work everywhere I go. I'm attached to an electronic. And so that's one of the reasons why my best friend thought it was very smart to give me a puppy because she wanted me to get out of the house a little more, right? I wasn't doing as many cases. I wasn't on the road as much. And so we're trying to get her field trained so we can take her out in the field with us, But at the end of the day, I just thought I would tell you guys that. That just seems really odd to be that defensive over your alibi when you're 3.5 hours away. I think that's a clue. I really do. You know that to this date, the stepfather has maintained that stance that law enforcement says his particular alibi and his whereabouts are so crucial to this case that he can't say anything about them. That's a big red flag for me. Sorry, not sorry. You guys take it for what you will. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channels. We're on multiple platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We have 2 accounts here. We have Bullhorn Betty 2.0 too. Don't forget to sub up for that. And then on YouTube, where we have a lot of our live commentary and more investigative research, is on the Bullhorn Betty main channel. But we also have Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories, where it's more of a laid-back kind of conversation where I actually communicate with my audience and answer their questions that they have on a number of cases that we're covering. But I did want to touch base on the Rex Heuermann case as well as Crystal Rogers case, because it seems like there are some things kind of heating up in those cases, and want to make sure that my audience is very well aware of it. I'm going to be working today on dropping. I don't really drop a lot of videos unless I'm out in the field, and I haven't been out in the field searching in a while, so that's why I haven't really been doing any videos on here and just live streams. But I am going to be dropping a Crystal Rogers update video sometime today, maybe later today, because it takes me forever to put together when I do videos, because it takes editing skills. It's just rough to give you guys a nice, beautiful, produced segment, okay? I won't lie. I'm getting a little lazy in my old age. But because of all the new information on the Crystal Rogers case, I am going to get a video prepared for you guys to watch and enjoy. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to enjoy about cases that we cover, but the creativity in the videos, hopefully you guys will enjoy. So I will see you guys in a little bit. I just want to throw this out there for many people. They don't realize that we are more than just a true crime channel, especially on YouTube. We deal with a lot of stuff. We have a lot of subscribers, some that are bedridden, some that have mobility issues, and we always believe in God, okay? And God comes first in our lives. Today is Sunday, so I always put my hand out to anybody and everybody. We do an online Christian church as a family, as the Coffee Club family, and always want to invite people along. If you have not been able to speak to your God, if you have not been in a church in a while, if you have mobility issues and you want friendly faces in church with you, come over to Countryside Christian Church. That's where we go every Sunday. We start our service around 9:15 in the morning, and it's always great music, great fellowship, great worshiping. So I always want to also invite our TikTok family to come aboard as well. So you guys have an amazing and blessed Sunday, and we'll talk and chat soon. I will be back with more of an update, or at least some talking points about this case later today. So God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you soon.